Well, hey everybody, I want to say welcome to you and welcome to the Behavior Modification and Cognitive Disorder online class for the fall of 2020. Welcome to you. My name is Glenn Killian and I am the instructor for this class. Many of you I'm already familiar with and you're familiar with me. You've been either in online and or face-to-face classes with me before on the Montgomery campus, but some of you may be brand new. Regardless, I want to say welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you in this class for the fall, and I hope that you're doing well. Hope you and your family are doing well and surviving all of the disruptions that's going on in our world. Hope that you're safe and healthy, and I'm glad that you've signed up for this class. I'm glad that you haven't let whatever's going on in your world and the world around us to disrupt you from your degree plan or getting the classes that you need to take care of whatever it is you're working on with us. So welcome to you. And I wanted to just post this video and just make a few announcements as we're kind of getting started with this class. So this will just be a little bit of an announcement video, but I wanted to say kind of welcome to you. I think by now you are aware this is a 16-week class. We're starting here in August. We're going to go all the way until the first week in December. I'm going to have something for you online every single week to be working on starting right now with Module 1, which we'll talk about here in just a second or two. Occasionally people will ask me about specific classes, including this one. Professor Killian, what's that class about? What's it about? What do we cover? Well, this class is kind of, in a way, it is what it says it is. This class is the Behavior Modification and Cognitive Disorder class. And what we do in this class is really two or three main things. Some of you have already taken your DAC 1311 Counseling Theories class, where we talk about psychoanalytic theory and person-centered theory and Gestalt and Adlerian and cognitive behavior theory, all those different helping approaches. Well, this class is very similar to a counseling theories class. And what we do is we focus on two specific helping approaches. A counseling theory is just really a fancy way of saying a helping approach. And in this class, we focus primarily on what is called behavior theory. Behavior theory is not the oldest, but it's one of the oldest counseling and helping approaches that we draw from as helpers every day in our work with kids and adults and couples and families in all kinds of ways. And what we do for the bulk of this class is we kind of camp out, so to speak, around this old theory that we're all familiar with. You may not be aware of it, but you're already very familiar with this theory called behavior theory because it focuses on, as its name implies, behavior, human behavior. And we're going to talk very, very quickly in our class that human behavior is something that every single one of us is familiar with because we do it every day. We individually engage in behavior and we're around people who are behaving and acting all around us every day, all day. So behavior theory is pretty basic, it's pretty straightforward, as you're going to see. And that's mainly what we do in this class, is we focus on this helping approach called behavior theory. And then a little bit later this semester, when we get into November, we're going to talk about cognitive behavior theory, which is an offshoot of behavior theory. So really two different theories that we talk about in this class. And that's kind of what we do. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by talking about what are some of the core theories of behavior theory. That's modules 1 and 2. And then in modules 3 and 4, we're going to talk about what are some of the applications, what are some of the ways that we see those core concepts at play in the counseling social work field around us. That's what the class is basically about. So if you've already taken your counseling theories class, this class may feel a little bit kind of similar to that because we're going to be talking about this thing, a theory called behavior theory. So if you have not already done so, I want you to go and find the course syllabus, as is the case in every class. That's true in this class. The course syllabus is going to be our guide, and really in an online class especially, you want to make sure you have the course syllabus in front of you or handy. In a face-to-face class, you can always ask questions and professors are always giving reminders and updates and that kind of thing. We do a little bit of that in online classes, but in online classes, in a lot of ways, you kind of are on your own in a way, and you're kind of on your own for your own learning and making sure that you get what you need. So make sure that you go and get the syllabus because that gives you the guide for our class. It describes all the deadlines and the timelines. I'm going to mention a few of those here in a second, but make sure you have the course syllabus. When you look at the course syllabus and you look on the first page, you'll see the course calendar and you'll see how the class is organized. 6 different learning modules. We're going to take 2 weeks to cover each module. Module number 1 is open right now, and for the first 2 weeks of class, the week of August the 24th, the week of August the 31st, the first 2 weeks of class, we are going to be covering module number 1. It is up and available for you right now. You can get going and get working on it. Each module contains some lecture videos like this one, a PowerPoint presentation, some handouts, a page or two of lecture notes, some web pages. There's not a lot there. It's not going to take you a long period of time to work your way through, but every module contains some lecture and some information and some assignments out of the textbook. Also too, with each module, there is a homework assignment at the end that you're going to type up and turn in. And then after every 2 modules, we're going to take an exam. So there's 6 modules and 3 exams. You'll see that on the course syllabus. And so for the first 2 weeks of class, we are in module number 1. So I'll talk more about that in just a second about what you should be doing right now. But that's kind of how the class is set up. Module 1 for a couple of weeks, Module 2 for a couple of weeks, take an exam. Module 3 for a couple of weeks, Module 4 for a couple of weeks, take another exam. So you'll see it's pretty straightforward, pretty structured, and that's kind of the way that the class basically will work. You'll also see listed on the first page of the syllabus the name of the textbook that we use in this class. Here it is. Let me show it to you. This little green book that is called Understanding Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA. It's possible some of you have heard those initials before, ABA. ABA is kind of a buzzword right now in the field of counseling. It stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. And this book really is an example of, it's really an introduction into that counseling approach, which comes from the School of Behavior Theory. Just a little word on this book. Number 1, you're going to probably need the textbook for this class. A very simple, very thin book. You can get it on Amazon. You can buy it through the bookstore at the college. You can get digital copies, very inexpensive. Let's do a little quick word on this textbook. This is not a typical college textbook. As you can tell, it's very small, and it's very practical, very easy to read. I adopted this book as our textbook about 7 or 8 years ago when I had a student who was in this class, and she was doing her field practicum at a place in Kingwood over in Northeast Houston that did behavior therapy with children with autism spectrum disorder. And the kind of therapy they did was ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. Applied Behavior Analysis is kind of our go-to therapy approach right now for children, especially with autism and other developmental disabilities. This student had an older brother with autism spectrum disorder, and she wanted to be like a behavioral therapist or a case manager or a social worker or a school counselor working with kids with developmental disabilities because of her connection with her brother. So she did her practicum at an agency, a private agency in Kingwood that did ABA. And she gave me this book as a Christmas gift at the end of the behavior mod class. It was in December. She gave me a copy of the book, and she shared with me that this book was the book that they used in their center. This is a book that she was given as an intern and was told by her supervisor to begin reviewing it to get a good handle on ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. And I began to look at it. I appreciated her giving it to me as a gift. And I began to look at it and I began to realize, you know what, this would be a really good textbook for the behavior modification class. So I got rid of the older, more expensive book. This little green book is the book we use. If you are interested in working with kids, especially, I want you to get this book because you're going to need it for your library. Even if you're not going to work with kids, this is a really simple book to have and a very inexpensive book to have for you to have for your library. Understanding Applied Behavior Analysis, that is the textbook that we use for this class. So there's that information about what book we use. I'm going to come back and mention the book again in just a second or two. Last thing before we talk about Module 1 is this. For those of you who are new to my online classes, I want to highlight this for you. Very important. It's this: noon, not midnight. In many online classes and other classes, instructors have stuff due at midnight. In my classes, everything is due at noon, 12 p.m., not 12 a.m. 12 p.m., noon, middle of the day, that's when everything is due. All your homework assignments, all your written assignments, all the exams, noon, not midnight. Occasionally that catches people off guard. It won't catch you off guard too many times, because once it catches you off guard one time and you get a late deduction on an assignment because you missed the due time, Usually that kind of gets people's attention, usually, right? We'll talk about that a little bit later, actually, in this class as far as consequences and how negative consequences often get our attention. So like getting points taken off of an assignment is like a negative consequence. And so I don't want you, though, to face that, though. So just be aware, noon, not midnight. That is the magic time for all of my online classes. So that's it as far as announcements. Let's talk about Module 1. So for the first 2 weeks, the week of the 24th, the week of the 31st, here's what you need to do. Go through Module 1. Look at the PowerPoint presentations, look at my lecture videos, get the lecture notes, look at the website, look at chapters, I believe it's 2 and 3 in the textbook, go through and read through those. Complete Module 1 homework. Your Module 1 homework assignment is due by noon, there's that time again, noon on Friday, September the 4th. So at the end of the module, which is at the end of the second week, your homework is due. It's the way it will always be. Those module homework assignments are always due in the Dropbox by the end of when the module is kind of wrapping up. So Module 1 homework is open for you September the 4th, noon, by noon on Friday, September the 4th. Go ahead and work on that. I have also posted for you your first written assignment. Now the homework is kind of a written assignment, but I've also posted for you another written assignment that I also want you to work on during Module 1. This is the textbook/TV show review assignment. It is available for you, and I also want you to be working on that in the first 2 weeks of class. Go get the outline. Here's the deal. I've posted 2 outlines for 2 separate assignments. One's called the textbook review assignment. One is called the TV show review assignment. There's 2 separate assignments. I want you to pick one. You don't do both. Occasionally it gets kind of confusing for students. You just pick the one that fits with you the best. Option number 1 is a textbook review assignment from our book. And what I've done is I've listed for you about 20 questions out of the textbook from the front to the back where I've kind of read ahead and I've pulled out 20 questions that I want you to go find the answers to. And you may want to do that assignment. If you do that assignment, all you got to do is get the textbook, print out or look at my questions I've loaded for you, open up a Word document, and just type the answer to those 20 questions out of the textbook. If you choose that assignment, I do not need you to retype my questions. I just number it clearly, and all you gotta do is give me your answers. I found through the years that a lot of students like assignments like that. They like to read and dig and look for information and research a little bit. Some of the questions on the textbook review assignment are gonna relate to stuff we're going to talk about in class. So it's going to be a little bit of a repeat for you. But there's other questions on that assignment that I get you to go look and find information in the textbook that we may not cover in class because we just don't have time. And it's additional extra information that I want you to be aware of, right? So if you have the textbook, I'd like for everybody to read chapters 2 and 3 during these first couple of weeks. But if you choose to do the textbook review assignment, you're going to be reading all the way through and going and answering 20 questions. I want you to work on that. If you choose that assignment, type it up. It is due by 12 o'clock noon on Friday, September the 11th. Friday the 11th is when that assignment is due in the Dropbox. If you don't want to do the textbook review assignment, then I want you to get the other assignment, which I call the TV show review. The TV show review is this. I want you to find one of the nanny reality shows. America's Super Nanny, Nanny 911, there's 2 or 3 of them. You can find old versions, old episodes on Hulu and YouTube. I think on the Lifetime channel, America's Super Nanny still has active current episodes. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick an episode and watch it, and I give you on the outline some things I want you to look for as you watch the Super Nanny reality TV show. Now you may say, why in the world, why are we watching that show? Someone said a long, long time ago that the most basic example of behavior modification is parenting. Many of you in the room are parents or your grandparents. We don't think about it like this, and we don't talk about it like this. I have 2 children of my own. When I was raising my children when they were young, what we call parenting, what I tried to do with them, really was behavior modification in a lot of ways. Limits, follow through, persistence, praise, consequences, structure, modeling, role modeling, all of that, redirection, reinforcement, punishment, all that stuff. is really just core and cornerstone to parenting. So the Super Nanny shows, which you know are built around the idea of here's a child whose behavior is kind of out of control or whatever, and an adult or adults who have a hard time dealing with it, right? That's the premise of all of the Super Nanny shows. So it's a great little case study. The Super Nanny shows are really a great little case study in behavior modification. So I give you in the assignment outline some things I want you to watch for as you watch the show. And then I give you some bullets that I want you to answer. I want you to write up a review, whatever episode you pick. Watch it, make some notes, type up an evaluation, type up an assessment, type up a synopsis using my outline where I ask you to highlight for me what you saw, what happened, what didn't happen, what was successful, what wasn't successful. How did you see behavior modification principles at play? Some of the behavior mod principles that we're going to talk about in the first 2 modules, you will see clearly if you just are looking for them. If you study the lecture notes and the PowerPoint presentation and watch my little videos, and then you watch a few of these shows, it usually is not difficult to begin to see, ooh, I see that. That's what we talked about in class. That right there in that episode, that's what Professor Killian was mentioning the other day in class, right? So if you don't want to do the textbook review, I want you to do the Super Nanny TV show review. You're going to pick one of those. The TV show review, the write-up, is also due by noon on Friday, September the 11th. So that written assignment, aside from the homework, right, I want you to be working on that. So you just got 2 or 3 weeks to be working on that. Regardless of what assignment you pick, it will not take you very, very long. Okay, both of them are pretty basic. But that's what I want you to do during these first couple of modules. So for module 1, it's open right now. Go through and review, get kind of a good handle on what we're talking about with behavior theory and how the class works. Do module 1 homework. It is due by September the 4th. Then also too, when you're done with that, work on either the TV show review or the textbook review. That is due by the 11th. And then we'll be ready for module number 2. Module 2, which will come on week number 3, will open on Monday, September the 7th. So, got a little bit of stuff to be working on as we kind of get going. I think it's pretty clear, but as always, email me, call me. My information is on the front page of the syllabus if you have any questions or problems. Again, great to have you on board. This is a great class. We cover lots of good stuff here. And let me know if you need anything, and I'll see you next time. All right.